New Year, everyone. It's officially our first podcast in 2026. If you have missed me, trust me, the feeling is mutual. I've also missed you too, and I'm so excited to be back on your screen. If you're new here, welcome to the Safe Space podcast. My name is Nyena Domi. I'm a psychologist and a purpose coach. I help adolescents and women who feel lost or stuck to find purpose, heal emotionally, and move forward with confidence. Don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe, and most importantly, turn on your notification button so that every time we are live, you will get notified. Because trust me, 2026 is going to be a really great year for all of us. Because guess what? We have a list of conversations that we have already designed and structured just for you. So get ready, guys. It's about to be the best year of your life. Well, on today's episode, we have something really interesting that we want to share with you. It's the Valentine's season. It's a season of love. It's a time when people catch feelings, receive flowers, chocolate, and all of those. So I don't want you to just jump into another relationship without getting empowered and understanding yourself better. So today we'll be exploring something really interesting, and the topic is how repeating patterns in dating can sabotage your growth. What are those repeating patterns? What are those things you keep doing over and over again in relationships that may be affecting you as long as relationship is concerned? I have someone very interesting here who is going to be the guest on this show. He's a psychologist. He's my brother and my friend, psychologist Joseph Bassey. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to see you.
So good to see you too. Always such a delight to have conversations with you.
Same here. You're looking good.
Thank you. You're looking good too. You know, we keep having conversations behind the scene. This is the first time we are having it in front of the camera, right?
Yeah.
It's so good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So, it's Valentine's season. First of all, before we even go into the conversation, are you in a relationship? For the viewers, because they may be interested, they may be wanting to find out, are you in a relationship?
Okay, yes, I am in a relationship with Jesus. And I love that relationship. I love it so much.
I was really hoping that would not be the response that you're going to give.
Oh, so you're expecting something different. But interestingly, that's something I have to offer for today.
Oh my God. Okay, but let me ask this question. This is Valentine. This is Valentine's season. People are receiving chocolate, flowers. People are getting invited for dinners. Is that happening for you, or you and Jesus, you are just having conversations?
Oh, we're having good conversations. This is very rapport. He's going to give me a lot of flowers. My belly is going to run.
Welcome. So good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
I mean, you already know what the topic is, repeating patterns in relationships. Let's have a background. Let's have a basis. What does that topic even mean to you as a person? You're a psychologist, I'm a psychologist, so we'll both be sharing the lights from the psychological perspective on repeating patterns, and most importantly, helping people who keep making mistakes in relationships, who keep repeating the same cycle, but yet expecting different results. What are those repeating patterns? Are there repeating patterns? What do they look like? Do they even exist? Let's just have a background on this conversation.
Interesting. So we have a lot of repeating patterns, all right? And these are things that are consistent over time. There are themes that you see in every relationship. You see that affects the choice of partner you're making. It affects the way you also make this choice, the way you do your relationship, the way you also move through a resolution of conflict in relationships. So these are patterns that people keep on going through the same pattern every time, and then they keep on making the same mistakes, and then they expect to have a different outcome in relationship, which is not true. You know that when you keep on doing the same thing over and over and over, you still keep on having the same result. So you need to make adjustments. There are some certain things you need to know about your relationship that will help you to make better choices, to have better results as the end of the day.
Yeah. Just to add to what you have just shared now, I think that most importantly, repeating patterns also means that people don't understand themselves better, right?
That's right.
So it's never about your partner. So if you find yourself, now what are these repeating patterns? When you find yourself dating the same kinds of persons, having the same outcome, because again, it's not about them, it's about you and the outcome. So if you keep having the same outcome, let's say you dated Mr. A, let's not call name before somebody will say, why did you use my name for this example?
Please don't.
So you dated Mr. A, and the relationship lasted for 3 months, and after 3 months, you guys went into a big fight because he saw you cheating, or you saw him cheating, or you saw one flower that was hidden. Those same circles that keep happening. So you move to Mr. B. The relationship also lasted for 3 months. The next thing you start saying, it's a spiritual problem. So it's beyond just about the people, right? It's about you as an individual. What are those things that happens over and over again that you're doing, that is happening? It's so common for us, especially in this part of the world, to rely on spiritual. So we say, this is a spiritual thing. My grandmother is the reason why all my relationships are not working. Yeah. Though I'm not going to doubt that some persons have a bit of that element.
Okay.
When did you say okay like that? I want to hear what's on your mind. What do you say okay?
I don't think I subscribe to that ideology. It's something that, because of things that happen over time with you, the patterns that you erased, the way you meet people, the way you communicate, the things that you do in relationship. So I won't want to shift blame to someone. You should own your responsibility and say, these are the things you've been doing because of this thing. That is why these things is happening.
But Joseph, are you saying that in all cases there are not some people who may have some spiritual elements or whatever issues they're dealing with? It's not all. I said some. Emphasis on the some.
Okay, because I personally, I think I don't subscribe to that, so I won't believe that. I believe that anything that you actually believe in works for you. So if you believe that family people are after you, spiritual things are after you, that's why your relationship is not working, that actually may not work. So for me, I believe that if you put in your work, if you put in some work, it's going to make it happen.
Okay, I don't want us to have a spiritual argument in this conversation, but I also subscribe to the fact that there are some cases that patterns may not only be psychologically.
Okay.
They may be spiritual.
All right.
Yeah.
So we should not neglect that fact.
Yes.
There's a possibility.
Exactly. I need you to accept that it exists.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
You're good with that.
I'm good with that. Now we can continue.
All right.
So now we have laid the foundation on what may seem as a pattern, how some of these patterns may even display themselves. Let's talk about the why. Why does this pattern exist? Why do people find themselves in that situation? Is there something that they are not facing? Is there a reason why they keep having the same patterns of relationship and it keeps ending the same result, which eventually affects their growth as individuals? Let me hear your thoughts on that.
Interestingly, let me take you back to your childhood.
Yeah.
Because that's where a lot of things happen, your development, your growth, and the patterns is established from that time. You know that, interestingly, children learn from observation.
True.
And they imitate, and from there they can be able to exhibit that kind of behavior that they're seeing. All right. So when you go to your childhood, you see some children, they grew up in some homes that were chaotic. Some homes were very violent, and these children begin to learn this patterns. And once they learn that kind of pattern, they believe that this is how it's supposed to be. So as they are growing up, getting into adulthood, and then they are entering into relationship, when they venture into relationship, they expect the same thing to happen.
Yes.
So when these things are not happening, because they are not familiar with a new environment or a new thing that is happening, so because of that, they tend to see, this is not something I know.
This is not the language I speak.
Thank you. Because you are not familiar with that language, they tend to, see it as a problem. And because that is not working, that pattern would be established from there.
Completely.
So that's not all. You would also see, let me give you a practical example. A child that grew up in an environment, in a home where the parents are emotionally unavailable, that child will also grow up to also experience that kind of thing.
Yes.
Because the parents were not there, they were not involved, they were not emotionally involved in that child's life. That child
like that may not even know how to expect people to be involved in their life.
Exactly. So the expectation of what it means to be emotionally involved, all right, in a relationship, in dating, is way different for them. So that's why they can just come back and say, I'm in a relationship. So today, as in a relationship, they would expect let's take for example a man. They expect that man to come and then do some certain things that they see their father doing, and then the man comes in and he has a different orientation, different background. He was groomed in an environment or in a home where the parents are emotionally available. Yeah. So you see that it's going to be different. She might be feeling that this man is stalking me. This is bulky. It's not something I want. Yes, yes. Because they're not used to that pattern. That is how we establish this kind of pattern.
And this is so interesting because in my work as a women rights activist, right, I've had cases where you see women who are in a relationship and they constantly want the man to hit them. So, it's easy for women to come in front of you as a psychologist and say, oh, my husband beats me, I'm emotionally damaged. Then when you call for a couple therapy and you say, okay, bring your husband, let's even have a conversation. Then you begin to hear that she's the one that triggered the man. I know a lot of women will say there's no such thing as a woman triggering a man. A man should not hit a woman. But I've sat in rooms where you now hear a man telling you that my wife literally will force me to beat her. She will insult me. She will hit me. She would seize my car keys. She would tear my shirt just because she wants me to retaliate. So that's some of those patterns that we see. But also, I just wanted to mention that that this can be two-way, right?
Yes, definitely.
There are also people who come from homes that their parents are, let's use the example you gave of not being emotionally unavailable, right? Their parents are not available emotionally with them. And then you see that maybe they grew up, they learned, they were in environments, they had people who showed them that you're meant to be available. The trauma and the experience that they've had. So thank you so much for the response you've given so far. Yeah. It's been an interesting conversation. Yeah. Now let's talk about the science, because this is 2026. By all means, I want these podcast sessions to be so practical that people can listen to what we are sharing and see themselves in the things we are saying, and then now take steps and actions on how to fix it. What are these signs that people can look out for? How do I know that I'm having a pattern in my relationship? How do I know that there may be a psychological problem that is affecting the kind of relationship that I get into? What are these signs that people can look out for?
Interesting. So we have a lot of signs that we can actually look out for. The first one is that repeated same story, the same breakup. Yeah. So every time, this is the same thing that make you break up with that person. Yeah. You dated Mr. A, you break up with Mr. A, then you dated Mr. B, you break up with Mr. B.
Why is it Mr. Please, let's use... You dated Miss C.
Okay, so let's talk about... All right,
please, Miss C, Miss A, G, so and...
I am talking from a perspective of...
Oh, no, I thought I was defending my gender. I just realized, no, put it back. Yes, you dated Mr. A.
Okay, so it's simple, yeah? So you see that's the same pattern. What makes them to break up? It's the same thing. Yeah. So once you see that kind of pattern, you know that something is wrong. Why is it that is the same thing that is making you to break
or maybe
up,
not,
for example?
Or maybe not, even if not the same, maybe similar. Yeah. Maybe similar. Something that is around the same issues, but the same circle, the same kind of excuses that happens here.
Exactly. So let's say you say this person, each time you're dating somebody, they keep on cheating. Yeah. So that's something. So why are they always cheating? Yeah. Is there something you're doing?
People may just think every other person is broken and not you.
Right. So it may be that there are some things that you yourself you're not doing right that may actually necessitate this thing, right, to make people keep on cheating every time you're in a relationship with them. So these are one thing that we can actually know that this is a sign that something is wrong. And the next one would be self-sabotaging. Yeah. You feel that you're not good, you're not worthy. Every time you're talking negative about yourself. Thank you. So you see that you're not worthy to be in a relationship with that person. So because of that, you self-sabotage yourself already before you even enter into that relationship, before even starting that dating relationship, you've already condemned yourself. So that alone would also show how you're going to think, the things you're going to do in that relationship, because you're going to feel that person is superior
to you. And one thing about self-sabotage is that it can be subtle. So
exactly.
It can be subtle. Actually, they say it's subtle.
Subtle, right?
Classic, that's the same way. So apparently, right? So there are cases where sometimes you may not say that I'm not good enough for this person. It may just be the way you behave, right? So you're always the one wanting to do things for your partner. You're always the one wanting to go out of your way. Oh, can I come to your house? No, don't come to my house. I'm wanting to have you under my roof. Only say the word and... Sorry, do you know? You didn't get that joke.
No.
You know the scripture in the Bible where the Roman centurion Jesus wanted to go and pray for him, and he said, "Oh, Master, I'm not worthy to come under your roof. I'm not worthy for you to come under my roof. Only say the word, and my servant shall be used." So that's what I meant.
All right.
Keep making yourself look too available for a person because somewhere in your head you feel like you're not worthy. So it can really be subtle, and then it may not necessarily be action. So people do that a lot. So please continue.
Yeah, those ones, as you're talking, they are implicit signs that we see. So some persons would believe that they need to please someone, and they need to sacrifice so much so that they can be accepted, so that their feelings can be validated. This is some of the things that you learn from childhood. There are adverse childhood experiences, there are traumatic experiences that the child go through because they've been sacrificing so much. They believe that everything they need to do, they need to earn their place. That these things cannot come to them freely. So even when they are not pleasing people, they feel they are not doing well. They are not doing right. So that is what psychology calls self-sacrificial identity. You have to give so much of yourself. You have to give so much of yourself to people so that you can receive validation from them, feel that you're doing something. So these are some of the signs that you would see, and then you know that, oh, this person is actually going through the same pattern that we are talking about here. Thank you. And the next pattern you would also observe is that codependency. So there are people that they cannot do anything. They have to be dependent on other people because of how they grew up, from the environment they were nurtured, they were treated. So they believe that they need to depend on other. Once they have a partner, they feel like everything that they need to do is on the partner. If the partner is not there, they cannot move. Even when they can do this thing on their own, they believe that they need to be dependent
on the partner.
Yes. So these are the patterns that you see. It also stems from...
Have you ever met people who, no matter how little a decision is, they can't take it on their own? They must get opinion. And they are not doing it from a place of, I just want to know what other people think. They are doing it from, I cannot take this decision. So my partner has to be the one to tell me what to do. I met someone recently, a young girl, very young girl. She's single, and I invited her for something, and then she said, "Oh, I can't be at this particular program. I can't attend this." I invited her for something else. She turned it down. Now, initially, I thought maybe she just did not want to attend the events that I was inviting her for. Not until a friend of hers now mentioned that, "Oh, this person really likes the kind of programs you organize and really wants to be there." I said, "So why has she not showed up for either of them?" She said, "Oh, her partner always says no." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She said, "Everything she wants to do,
for real?
She has to request permission from him, and he doesn't like her going out. He doesn't like her mixing up with people." So, and I'm like, "Are they still dating?" Say yes. Oh, they're not married yet. Say no, they're not married. I'm like, "Oh, this is the problem." So there are people like that.
Exactly, you're right. You see that they want people to be in control. Like everything about their life needs to be detected by people, because as you were growing up, you would notice that maybe the mom or the father was that kind of a person that they were controlling. They need to detect everything you're doing. You cannot go out by this time. You cannot do this one. You need to eat by this time. So if these things are not in place, so they are lacking something. So as they are seeing that in their current partner, so they believe that is how it is. So they are attracted to that. And then some of them feel like this is the right way. So they don't know that something is wrong in the cause of doing that.
Let me also just chip this story in very quickly. The story of, I can share it now because it's public, it's out there, they've shared it themselves. So if not, normally you'll be like, "You don't talk about spiritual authority." Well, they shared it. The story of Pastor Jerry Eze and his wife. His wife even wrote a book about it, how I almost ruined my marriage. And what was the issue? When she was married, and when she was in her father's house, she comes from a home that, I don't want to say violence, I don't know if that's the right word, but anger, aggression was normal. People expressed their anger in throwing tantrum, destroying things, shouting, abuses. So then she married Pastor Jerry, who is a very gentle, calm, loving person who would rather have a dialogue when an issue comes up, and then it was an issue for them for years. Thank God their story is one that we can now share and say, okay, they figured out what was wrong and they were able to fix it. But that is how homes can be broken. That's how relationships can end, because you come from a background where anger is how you express things.
Exactly.
Like for instance, I come from a family where The highest we can do when we are angry is just walk away. Like get angry and just walk away, and maybe malice. We are mostly girls, so we'll just not talk to each other for a while. And then I've met people who, when they are angry, they are banking doors. I'm like, because for me in my house, if you're angry and even if it was just by chance you kick something, you are receiving a slap from my mother right behind you. Like, how dare you don't have a right to be angry and destroy anything. So that's how it can just happen based on where you're coming from and background. So let's
exactly. So you see that this is one of the points I wanted to buttress as well. When some people meet partners that feel calm, feel relaxed, that they can be emotionally safety in that kind of relationship, they feel this is not what I am used to, because they are used to chaos, drama, all of those fights, and to them that is what is familiar to them.
And this will lead to my next question. So let's talk about how these patterns can affect people's growth. And I really want you guys to pay attention to what we're about to share, because this particular point may be useful not just to your relationship, but to every aspect or every area of your life. How do I mean? You may have other patterns and cycles that may not necessarily be around relationship that may be affecting your growth. So pay attention to what we're about to share. So let's talk about how this can affect or impact a person's growth.
Oh, it can affect someone's growth in a lot of ways, in diverse ways. Let's dive down to relationships, since we are talking about dating right now. Yeah. You see that because you did not have a good relationship with other persons in your family. Let's say, for instance, you're in a family where you don't telling your brother that you love your brother, your sister, your mom, or your siblings whatsoever, right? That you love them was a taboo. All right. So when you go into
just something that never happened. You can never just say, "Mommy, I love you." Give mommy a kiss. You
cannot. So they see it as a problem. Yeah. You know? They see that you can't even hug their parents. You can't even hug your siblings. So you feel like there's something wrong. So going to a relationship and then the person expecting this kind of things from you. Because of that expectation, you see that it's going to ruin a lot of things. Look at the story you cited about Pastor Jerry and the wife. Yeah. You see that if they don't sit back to understand that there's a pattern that has been going on, that is why we're having these kind of problems. And then they talk to professionals who would know best on how to help them to go through therapeutic intervention that would help them, right, to make sure that they break this kind of pattern. They will keep on repeating the same thing over and over again. So these are some of the things you say. You see, unlike chess, right? Trauma and scar are things that you cannot erase. They are always there. So you can actually do a checkmate for other things, but trauma is something that continues after checkmate.
Yeah. That's so
powerful. For people that understand chess, you would understand data.
Powerful. By the way, he's quoting himself. This guy has pride. Come on my podcast here. Quoting just say Bassey 2025. Like, please go on, continue.
Right. So these are how these patterns are established. Now, when you go back to some of the things that we've discussed as in the course of these conversations, you realize that this cycle can only stop when first you are aware, you're self-aware.
Okay, so this is also leading us to how. So we're talking about how it impacts our growth and how we can break it. So yes, please let's talk about how we can break this.
Thank you. So once you're able to recognize that there's a pattern, when you're self-aware, because awareness is very important. You may be going through this and then you're not aware, so you'll be thinking that nothing is wrong with you, that is always your partner. That's when you'll be shifting blames because you're not taking responsibility. But once you're aware and then you take responsibility, that's the first step. I tell you, once you do that, that is where you can say you're making progress. That's the first step towards your breaking the cycle, breaking the pattern that has been going on over time. And that's one step you can take to help you resolve all those traumatic experiences that you may be experiencing in your childhood as you're growing up in relationships and all of that. And that cut across other aspects of your life. Because it's not also in relationship alone. It will affect other aspects of your life.
Because one who is currently dealing with a negative pattern from childhood or any form of trauma, we are talking about relationship now because it's Valentine's season and we're celebrating.
Definitely,
However, this affects your every area of your life. Let's even bring it to work scenario. So you are in a work setting and you come from a toxic environment. You tend to want to bring that to your workspace. You feel like
You must struggle for everything.
Yes.
You must fight for something.
So whatever pattern you have when you were growing up as a child, this may just be for relationship, but it affects every area. So do a self-evaluation. Even while we are having this conversation right now, begin to evaluate yourself. What are those things what are those patterns? What are those experiences that you've had, maybe when you were growing up as a child, that is impacting your growth as an individual now? Now, that just brings me to one very interesting point on how you can break this cycle. You talked about awareness.
Yep.
And I also want to add that after you have this awareness, you now know what is going on. You seek professional help. We come from a society where people don't think it is okay. I'll keep talking about this going for therapy thing until you guys until it to sink. Let's talk about the importance of where you have understood the pattern, a cycle, then you now seek professional help.
All right. So interestingly, you've actually made a whole lot of points. You've aligned and then push forward what needs to be on motion.
Yeah.
See when you're aware, and the next thing is you need professional help. So a lot of us feel when we talk about therapy that it is people that are sick, that it is people that cannot walk, it is people that have lost touch with reality, it is people that are struggling with severe mental health cases like depression, anxiety, substance use, and the rest of those things that needs therapy. But no, I tell you, you also need therapy. Even as you're listening to me right now, you may not understand some of those patterns, but as you go to therapy will help you to understand yourself, to be aware, to know some of the things that you may not have actually understand about yourself, all right, internally, and then it helps you pattern your life in every aspect of your life, whether in education, your career-wise, your dating, which is very, very important because you are talking about dating right now, your relationship with others, because once these patterns continue, you sabotage yourself, you see that even in workspace, like the example you cited earlier on, you see that your relationship with other persons in the workspace would be frustrating, would not be good, to not be balanced. So because of that, you will need to work on this, and that's what therapy helps you do, and that's what professionals will help you to see from a professional perspective. I tell you, you may be actually looking at yourself that you're not good, but I want to tell you that you're good, you're worthy, you're enough, and you can actually make it. Other persons have gone to therapy and then they're able to do it. So today, I'm telling you that you can actually do the same.
Do you know something just came to my mind? People who also, this is another pattern, because we're thinking about workspace. People also think that every other person is wrong but themselves. That is a trait that you may have. And I want you to also evaluate yourself. If you constantly find yourself in a situation where every time something goes wrong in a relationship, you think, you analyze, you evaluate, and you have all the reasons, or maybe even in the workspace, that person is that person's fault, you also need to go to therapy.
Exactly.
So therapy does not only like he said, it's not only for certain people. You can't accept your fault. You also need now.
Sorry, let me put something here, because in psychology called this blaming. It's a defense mechanism that you will try to shift the blame to other persons, and then you don't want to accept the responsibility. So once you are not accepting this responsibility, it will not help you to make that first step. We talk about awareness, and then wanting to even make the first step of going to meet a therapist and say, okay, fine, I want to meet a professional, and then pay money for you to have therapeutic sessions that will help you to understand yourself better.
I think that also self-love is also another way to break cycle and pattern. Because some persons, yes, we're talking about trauma, we're talking about past, we're talking about cycles and experiences. A lot of people don't live beyond those experiences they've had. So because you had a terrible childhood, maybe you were abused by family members, friends when you were growing up, you stop loving yourself. If you're listening to this podcast right now, or if you're even just scrolling through and you're about to, which by the way, don't even scroll, come back here and listen to what I want to say.
Listen.
Listen, exactly.
It's important.
If you're about to scroll, you need to understand that self-love is getting to a point where you love yourself, your trauma, your childhood experiences, your what I would call bad character, regardless of the state. You love yourself enough to know that I love me, so I am enough. I love me and I forgive myself. I love me, I forgive the people who have hurt me in the past. I love me enough to know that I need professional services. I love me enough to go for therapy. I love me enough to seek a professional help. That is also a way of breaking that cycle. When you love yourself enough that you evaluate yourself and know that something is wrong with the way you grew up, something is wrong with the childhood experiences that you have, something is wrong with your relationships.
Of course.
You're in and out of relationships, having the same experiences and cycle. That is one of the ways you can break the cycle.
Thank you. You've said it, you've nailed it. If you don't love yourself, you won't think of going for therapy.
Yes.
And that's the problem. So you need to, love yourself. And then when you love yourself, that's when you understand that you can't be perfect. All right? You need to embrace all your flaws. All right? You need to embrace them. Those traumatic experiences, those unhealed wounds that you've had from your childhood, you need to love yourself. Carry all of those things with you. I tell you, this is like a promise I want to make to you, right? I don't like making promises, but I tell you, if you seek professional help, all right, we have a lot of clinical psychologists that can actually help you. So if you seek professional help, they would help you to understand these patterns. And understanding these patterns would help you to break free from them.
And they will empower you with skills and information can help you to recover from the experiences that you've had. So going to therapy is very important. Now, let's even talk about personal growth, right? Yeah. We're rounding up with that, right? Okay. I think that's also another way of breaking certain patterns, right? Yeah. So let me give you an example. I come from a childhood, I have certain experiences. I come from a background that is affecting my current relationship. But what efforts, aside from awareness, aside from seeking professional, what effort am I making as a person to understand myself? So am I reading the right books? Am I attending the right webinars? Am I connecting to the right people? Am I developing myself? Because
self-affirmation.
Yes, am I doing self-affirmation? Because there's certain information that will come to you that even when it's just you that you got access to that information, certain breaks off your life.
Right.
Information is like light.
Of course.
If this room is dark,
this room, for instance.
Okay, let's imagine that you're looking for your phone and the room is dark. The minute you put on the light in this place, you now know how to navigate and know where your phone is. That's what personal growth and personal development. So I think that people should be very intentional. Guys, I can't even emphasize how important it is in 2026 for you to tell yourself that I cannot be at the same level that I was in the previous year. Even when it comes to relationship, let me tell you, the reason you've been dating certain kind of people also is because you're not developing. I think that also, if you don't develop yourself, you will most likely date the same kind of persons. Because if yesterday you dated Mr. Joseph, not your Joseph though, and he was a certain kind of person, you would obviously attract another kind of Mr. Joseph if you don't develop yourself. Imagine that you get your MSc. Imagine that you take up certain courses. Imagine that you get certain license. The kind of persons that will come to you will be different. Because number one, the spaces you will go to.
The association matters, right?
They are different. So you cannot be at the same space, the same level, and expect
different results.
Different kinds of person.
True.
One of the ways of also breaking the cycle and pattern is to grow. Develop yourself.
True.
Love yourself enough to know that if I have observed that these are the kind of persons, what is wrong? Am I repeating a pattern? Am I in that space and in that environment because of my childhood experiences? All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, happy Valentine. I hope that you found this episode or this podcast helpful. If you've been listening to us and you're ready to take the next step, the next action to understand yourself better, to come for treatment, to do proper diagnosis and assessment, you are in the right space. I want you to visit our website and all our social media platforms. Details are right on the screen, and then you will get more information. If you also want to be a part of our coaching, if you also want to subscribe to our coaching plans, then you are in the right place. We have all the information you need to ensure that your 2026 is going to be better than 2025. I want you to be very intentional with yourself this year. Don't sit down and expect miracles to happen without you taking the right steps and action. I'm going to see you again, but before I go, I want to remind you to like this video, make a comment. Tell us how the podcast was. Tell us what you want us to say next time. Tell us what topics and conversations that you want psychologists to share with you. What are those things that are disturbing you about you? Let us know in the comment section. And I promise you, we listen to the comment section. We listen to your comments when you let us know. Like this video, share to your loved ones. People you know need to get this information. Thank you so much, Joseph, for being a part of this podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's been an amazing time here with you today.
It's been a great time being in this space. It's wonderful.
Until I see you again next time, remember that growth begins when you take the right steps and actions. Bye for now, guys.